You ever get that feeling you're standing in a giant library, just surrounded by all this incredible knowledge, but you have absolutely no idea how any of it connects? It's a super common feeling. We learn all these different subjects, right? But nobody ever hands us the map showing how they all fit together. Well, that's what we're going to do right now. Let's try to draw that map. Right? I mean, it sounds kind of weird. How on earth does the pure, cold logic of algebra have anything to do with the wild creativity of art? Or how do huge events from human history connect with the fundamental forces of the universe? Look, these connections aren't always obvious, but trust me, they're there. And the whole point of this explainer is to give you a framework, a kind of mental map, so you can see the entire landscape of knowledge and start navigating those links for yourself. So here's our game plan. We're going to explore this map by looking at 4 major territories. First, we'll start with the absolute fundamentals, the rules of reality itself, in decoding our universe. Then we'll loom in on us, on people, with understanding our society. From there, we'll dive into our creative side and our search for meaning in exploring human expression. And finally, we'll see how it all gets put together to build the world we live in right now. All right, let's start at the most fundamental level you can get, the actual rules of the game for reality itself. These are the sciences that explain, well, everything, from the tiniest subatomic particle to the biggest galaxy. This is the bedrock that everything else is built on. So on one hand, you've got physics. This is like the ultimate rulebook for matter, energy, and all the forces that make things go. It's the why behind gravity, motion, and even the super weird world of quantum mechanics. Then you have chemistry, which kind of takes that rulebook from physics and says, okay, now what happens when we start building things with this stuff? It's all about atoms, molecules, and how they react. Basically, the recipe book for everything from life-saving medicines to the materials we build our world with. Now, what happens when chemistry gets so incredibly complex that it starts making copies of itself? Well, you get life. And that's what biology is all about, exploring everything from our own DNA to the massive ecosystems that cover the entire planet. But to make sense of any of this stuff, the forces in physics, the reactions in chemistry, the patterns in biology, we need a way to talk about it. We need a language. And that's where mathematics comes in. It's not just another subject. It's the universal language of science. It gives us the logical tools we need to actually describe and solve the mysteries of the universe. Okay, so we've got the rules for the universe, but what about all the rules we make for ourselves? Let's jump to our next section and see how we study human society, our behavior, and the really complex systems we've created over time. This next group of subjects, think of them as different lenses for understanding people. History is like our collective memory. It shows us where we've been, which helps us figure out where we're going. Economics tackles the big question of stuff, how we make it, share it, and use it. Political science digs into how we organize ourselves with power and laws. Then you can zoom out with sociology, which looks at the big picture of societies and cultures. Or you can zoom way in with psychology, which explores the fascinating inner world of the individual mind. Each one gives us a crucial piece of the what it means to be human puzzle. But we don't just exist and organize ourselves. We create, we ask big questions, we search for meaning. And that brings us to our third territory, the amazing world of human expression. This is where we tell our stories. What's so cool about this group is how each field shapes a different part of what makes us, us. English and other languages, they're not just about grammar. They're the code we use to pass on ideas and culture. Philosophy is basically our built-in toolkit for asking those huge why questions about life, ethics, existence. And then you've got art and music. They kind of bypass words and speak directly to our emotions. They build our sense of identity, of beauty, and they fire up our imagination. These aren't just subjects, they're the tools we use to build culture itself. And that brings us to our last section. So how do we take all this knowledge about the universe, about society, about our own creativity, and actually put it to work? This is where the applied fields come in, the subjects that are all about solving problems, innovating, and literally building the world we live in today. These fields are where the rubber meets the road. Computer science, that's the language we use to build the entire digital world we all live in now. Business studies takes ideas from social science and applies them to create and run organizations. Environmental studies is where biology and chemistry become absolutely critical for the survival of our planet. Geography is the ultimate bridge, connecting the physical Earth with how we live on it. And yeah, even physical education is an applied science. It's applied biology and psychology, teaching us how to take care of our bodies while learning things like teamwork and discipline. So after that whirlwind tour, you can start to see it, right?
It's not just a list of 20 separate subjects. It's a deeply connected web of knowledge where every single field gives something to and takes something from the others.
And here's the most important takeaway. Every subject is just a different lens to view the same world. Physics helps an artist understand how light works. Psychology helps a computer scientist build an app that's easier to use. History helps an economist make better policies. The real magic, the biggest aha moments, happen when these fields intersect. The goal isn't to be an expert in everything. It's to appreciate that each lens gives you a unique and powerful way to understand our shared reality. And that's the real power of thinking this way. Learning stops being a chore and starts being an endless exploration. Seeing the map doesn't mean the journey is over. It means it's just beginning. It's an invitation to chart your own course, to follow your curiosity across boundaries, and to see what incredible new connections you can find for yourself. So, where will you go?